Welcome to the Good Rookies podcast. My name's Faheem.
And my name is Nelly J, y'all, and we are Good
That's
Rookies.
right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday to you all. And y'all, this is episode 24.
24.
Oh my goodness, our first episode for February. And y'all, we are so excited because we have an amazing guest, one of my homegirls. What I talk about football all the time too. So Faheem, please introduce who we got.
All right. We have a special guest today. We have someone who works in the hospital system on the East End as a clinical and medical researcher. Let's welcome Chantelle Morris to the podcast today.
Chantelle.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Chantelle. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. Good. Happy
you?
to be here. Honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
No
Welcome.
problem. And honestly, I think it's really cool to have, to show the viewers that there's, Black people were everywhere. And, as a clinical researcher, especially now during a pandemic, I have to ask, like, how have you been handling this COVID-19? I'm sure you're probably working longer hours, but how is the healthcare system in Canada? Like, you're kind of working with people face to face. So, like, how has it impacted your life this year or the past year?
I work in clinical research, and I work more on the ethical side. So looking at how do we protect the patients from, all of these new technology, new clinical interventions that are coming into the hospital. And it's great. During COVID, it's been a bit hard because some of the research projects, they had to pause because we can't let the coordinators into the hospital. And then we've gotten, the government gave some grant money for people to do COVID research. And we got a swarm of research coming into the hospital. So it's been a lot of work. And I also got seconded to the COVID vaccine clinic. So that's a whole other thing too. But it's been very rewarding and helping the frontline workers, the ones who are actually, seeing the patients face to face and dealing with all of the issues that come with our very overloaded hospital system. It's been great to be a little bit of help for them. So yeah, enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys and everyone in the medical field, all the frontline workers. You guys are literally heroes every day. So shout out to everybody working in that.
No doubt. What I have to say is, it's great that we actually have someone who's actually in the field to actually elaborate on a lot of the topics we're talking about today, because it's going to be really a COVID heavy portion right now. So it's good to have someone who's actually like in the field and actually provide a little bit of insight that we didn't have before. So I'm really honored to have you here today. Okay. My first thing I want to get into is COVID and the Olympics. So what I did find, like I heard through the news that they're going to cancel the Olympics in Tokyo. After researching, come and find out, no, that was just, it's not entirely the case. They are looking about continuing it on. So maybe we can get clear the air with that in regards to whether it's going on or it's not going, or they're stopping the Olympics. Nelly J, you want to elaborate on that for me?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, Chantelle, right? Because my background is chemistry, biochem. So I'm just curious to know, because I think with COVID and the Olympics, I think it's just two different battles. I think one's political and monetary, and one is healthcare and what's logical. You know what I mean? The question is, guys, think about it, right? We're hearing today there are more variants. There's variants from South Africa, variants from the UK. So the variants popping up all over the world now because COVID is mutating. So Chantelle, from what you've seen, is this logical? Like, should Japan continue on and say, guys, we need this money. We've been building streets and building things for this Olympics, but it's like, on a grand scale, if we're having all these athletes fly in from their perspective worlds into the Olympics, like, how is this going to work? Because even though every country has its own rules too, right? So like, how can they manage that?
So I've watched a bit of the IOC president, so Thomas Bach, about him talking about how they're going to figure this out. And his view is pretty much the same as mine, is that you just kind of have to play it, you know, a couple weeks at a time and see if it's worth it. And the reason why I say that is because knowing Japan, they're not going to give this up. The culture is a save face culture. So for them to give up the opportunity to host the Olympics, not only is that money that they're going to lose, but they want to show their culture. They want people to know more about Japan. Like, there's all these different little things that are kind of driving them and pushing them. Mm-hmm. Not all of them financial, but a lot of them to do with dignity and pride and things like that. How that works with the health officials, because the WHO's very, involved in all of this. Obviously, it's a back and forth battle. I personally think that it should be canceled and, or postponed to another year. I think they were saying something like 2032 or something like that. And
that's in 10 years. That's 11 years.
But I think that's when they'd be eligible to have it in their country again, right?
Oh, Japan, you mean?
Yeah, based on whoever's got the next one coming up. And so it's a tough call, because you want this to happen. These athletes have been training. It's hard for them to prepare to, all this preparation that they put into it. So, but from a health perspective, it's not feasible. You have over 15,000 athletes coming. Plus, you got to take into consideration the fans that are going to come from countries that are allowing travel. You got to take into consideration the judges. You got to take into consideration staff. How are you going
volunteers?
You
need volunteers, because
how are you going to manage to properly distance and train these folks who are from different countries with different health systems, different health protocols for COVID? How are you going to mitigate all of that?
Anti-maskers.
Okay, as I'm sure there are a lot of
I'm sure
countries, right?
Some athletes. I'm sure some athletes are anti-maskers as well. They're everywhere, right?
Sure.
So it's like, it's mandated. I think the only way it would work, guys, is if, like, literally, if I'm them, like, Faheem might laugh at me, but I'm gonna mimic the MMA. Abu Dhabi, like, how they have UFC? Yeah. I'm mimicking that. I'm putting all the athletes from, like, March on an island. Like, legit. If you want to participate in the Olympics, go to this island, like, by May. So, because I think if I'll go on an island and I'll train, at least have training, an island where they can train and whatever together. And then from there, they transfer to Japan. That's the only way it's going to work. Like, you would kind of have to say, y'all got to go to this country and stay there the entire time for at least 3 months, because at least that way we know they're all controlled. They're all in the same bubble. So when they go to Japan now, that same bubble goes to Japan and they're safe. That's the only way it's going to work. Get an island.
But when you're talking about control and bubble, think about this though. So the NBA led the way in regards to what happened with the sports. The NBA bubble at the start of it, I'll be honest, when they started the season, I was not for the bubble. I was convinced COVID was going to creep its way in and end the season. I was wrong. Kudos to Adam Silver, saw the vision, and NBA went out without a hitch, actually. I understand the Olympics is going to have a lot more people. The infrastructure is going to be different. I get it from that standpoint, but what you're saying in regards to an island, the way the UFC is doing it, with Tokyo, like, already it should be nothing new for the Olympics, because Olympics, they already have the Olympic Village to begin with, which is
true. That's so
bubble,
true,
right? So all they really have to do is maintain what they do every Olympic with the Olympic Village, but possibly establish more tighter rules and make it
more
like
testing too,
right?
Testing and all that stuff,
volunteers,
everything,
right? So I mean,
that's true.
I think it's doable. It is doable but thing is, like Nelly J just mentioned, in regards to not everyone's has the same health protocols, right? So
every country is different. Like
every country is different. So, but I mean, if they can have a way to have all the athletes and all the athletic associations on the same page, if it comes between them doing that and waiting another 10 years to get the Olympics, I'm pretty sure I could see Tokyo saying, you know what, we'll do whatever we can take, whatever it takes to get us there. I could see that happening.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And they have the drive, right? They want it to happen. So
Right.
they'll find a way to make it work.
Well, they're saying it's $1 billion they could be missing in advertising.
Oh yeah, it's happening.
1 billion.
And it was it was a couple billion to postpone even because
Right.
it's not starting at
Right.
on the original date.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're already losing money.
Right.
Yeah. So pretty much like the NFL, like the NBA, it's happening. Like
Right.
NHL, every league was like, we'll lose X amount of dollars. Not $1 billion. I think it was millions that the NBA would have lost, right?
Yeah.
If they started the season a month later. So
Right.
yeah, like money is the greatest, they say, motivator, right?
So in regards to a percentage, real quick, give me a percentage of what you think the odds of us continuing with the Olympics in the summer. Nelly J, you go first.
I'm gonna go first. Okay, so I'm gonna say 50-50. Like
50-50? Really?
Reason why is this, right? The variants are scaring people. Like
Right.
literally the latest variant that came out today in South Africa, the vaccine has, I think they say 60% effective rate. That's very low for a vaccine. So if there's more variants that come out, so if we cannot manage the COVID by the winter time, which is crucial right now. If by May COVID is still this heavy, then no, because it's a risk. Because your country will have its own COVID and we interact, but my country had its COVID, but it's a variant. So if we interact, it might even mutate more, right? So 50-50, depending on if we can just stay home and wear a mask and just chill for a bit. I'm 50-50 to be honest. But the reason why I'll take 51% for Japan, because money, $1 billion, that's a huge reason why it must happen for Japan.
How about you, Chantelle?
So I am more 60-40. 60 that it will happen.
Wow.
Because like I said, the Japanese spirit is strong. Okay.
Right.
And also too, because vaccines they're effective. The vaccine is I think 95% effective once you get your second shot. And that's looking at both Pfizer and Moderna, right? And if we can get these vaccine deliveries back up and running, because as you know, we're delayed. And
production is slow for Pfizer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like we even got an official email to say, hey, we have to change the phases and everything. So if we can get that back up and get people vaccinated through this winter, and then you're looking at the summer where people's immune systems are a lot higher. They're getting a lot more vitamin D, which they're noticing in COVID patients, that they're lacking a lot of vitamin D. If you're not supplementing it, you're gonna get it from sunlight, right? And we get a lot more sun in the warmer months. So you'll see a decline in a lot of the COVID cases, and hopefully with that coupled, so the vaccines coupled with the heart of the Japanese spirit, I think that it's possible. It's a higher probability that we'll have it.
I'm going with 80-20. I really think 80% is going to happen, 20 it's not. Mainly, like, this has already been delayed already. And just the fact that, very early in COVID, they did delay it, and we've reopened the situation, and there still seems to be an infrastructure for this to happen. I think I might even go 90-10. I just cannot see a world where this does not happen.
It gonna happen.
It's going to happen. I do have a question in regards to what you're saying in regards to the variations, right? So, because I've been hearing also the COVID variations. I have a question. So they say the flu shot, that's in the family of COVID somewhat, right? I'm speaking very broad, like in regards to
it's a virus. They're similar viruses.
Yes.
Like they're both viruses, but I'll say SARS is more similar to COVID than anything else.
Correct.
I mean, because here's leading to my question. So the vaccine that we have is for COVID, right? But they're saying COVID has its own variations. So when it mutates, I don't even know if that's the word we should be using.
Yeah,
but
it's called mutate.
That's cool. Yeah. So if it does change forms and mutate, does that mean you'd have to take another shot for the new variation, or does that variation cover all different forms?
So right now, they don't have enough post-surveillance data to figure that out yet. What they were saying though, and from what I've heard from some of the doctors at work, is that it might be something where you would either need a booster or you would need another full shot of the vaccine. I'm leaning more towards a booster only because this is not your typical vaccine. This is an mRNA vaccine. And so it's basically giving your cells the instructions on what to do when
COVID comes in your body.
When COVID comes into your body. So you're not actually putting any other variants of it into your body. You're not putting any COVID into your body, basically. Okay. So I feel, and I feel like they're using this technology because it's a lot better. It lasts longer than the flu virus, which puts a little bit of the active material into your body to allow your body to
fight
it off, to give a response and produce more white blood cells, encapsulate, destroy.
Okay.
So that's
and that's I think that's the biggest difference, is that the flu vaccine can help you tackle different kind of strains, but there's thousands of strains for the flu. Flu has been around for hundreds of years, whereas COVID just came out, so the variants aren't as great. But I did see that today that a doctor came on and said that the vaccine, like, I guess the effective rate is high, but they came out today, and this is like January 28th, that the one in South Africa, that variant isn't as effective or with the vaccine. So that's the concern, is that variant alone is the effective rate is lower than our traditional COVID. So again, a concern is that if this is happening in South Africa and it comes into North America, then we have problems. So our goal is to limit travel. And again, the issue is that these athletes are training in different countries with different variants. So I think it's a lot, and it's still new research, but I mean, hey guys, I guess we're going to see what happens. But remember, managing a bubble in North America versus a bubble around for the world is two different beasts, right? And I think we'll have to see where it goes.
So the NBA, they're actually talking about possibly resuming with an all-star game, much like we're speaking about with Tokyo in regards to just the logistics of this happening. What do you guys think about the NBA proceeding with an all-star game in this climate right now?
I mean, so I'll go first. I think it was a few weeks ago. So I play fantasy basketball, and it's been very annoying for my team because literally, if one player on, let's say, Boston has COVID, is positive, then both teams have to quarantine and be tested, and it's postponed for literally, I think 5 teams got postponed games for a week because one person got positive, and so to me, it's scary because these athletes, like Harden, whatever, were going out. They were leaving their home. And they asked players to stay home, but some of them don't want to stay home. They want to go to strip club. They want to go out. And so the challenge, I think, is if they're going to do an all-star game, they're going to have to, I think, have a bubble type-esque where if you're in the all-star game, maybe go there 2 weeks beforehand, or have them, to me, having an all-star game, I like the idea because I love all-star game. It's great. But logistically, they're going to have to find a way to have these guys go in a bubble, an all-star bubble. Because if I'm flying for an all-star game, but then my team has positive athlete, I can't play an all-star game anymore. I can't go. So it's I don't know. To me, I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. I don't think they have to do it or delay until a bubble setting is happening around a playoff time. But to do it now, I don't know. To me, it's not needed. What about you, Chantelle?
I would love to see it. All-Star Weekend is something that I look forward to right after the Super Bowl, right? So I'm kind of sad if it doesn't happen, but I would understand if it doesn't. But at the same time, they've had practice with the bubble before. So if they were to implement something like you're saying, Nelly, where they have a bubble and they go 2 weeks ahead, I think that would work. If they can pull that off between now and All-Star Weekend, then I say go for it, right? March 5 or something like that weekend.
And plus, there's no schedule, right? Faheem, second half, no schedule came out yet, so they have time to do a little mini bubble
right
for the All-Star experience. They could do it.
It's not like they're bringing everybody from all the teams, right? So it's possible.
So there is a 5-day All-Star period that they're giving them. What I'd have to say though with the All-Star is, we mentioned about the bubble, right? when you do have these players, the good thing about this is, see how we're saying with the Olympics, where there's like thousands upon thousands of people you have to worry about. At least with the All-Star, you can control it because there's only, maybe 20 players tops, right? And speaking about the NBA and their protocols that they have right now, I find it's kind of odd that the NBA has specific protocols in place. One that I find really weird is after games, they don't want players being close, high-fiving, hugging, etc., like close physical contact. But yet for 40 minutes, it's quite okay for you to run up on somebody and breathe up in their face. So Chantelle, can you explain just?
So I was talking to a friend, he was watching the Lakers game, and he texted me the same exact question, like, why is it that they can't, they're socially distancing when they sit down, when, after games, but you're breathing in a man's face,
Right.
you're back up, you're pushing against a man. And I think a lot of it is very non-medical. It's non-clinical. I think it's a show of standing in agreement with those health officials who are pushing the stay 6 feet apart, social distance, all that. I think in some way they're trying to do their part to set an example. Because if I am getting tested daily, right, they're getting the test back, I think, within the day or the next day. So really quick turnover. I'm also staying, with my team. I'm staying at home. When I'm traveling abroad, I'm staying in my hotel room. I'm eating in my hotel. These are all the part of their protocols. You're doing everything that you need to in order to be able to interact in that temporary bubble, so to speak. There still would be risk because, there's always going to be players that sneak off and do their own thing.
Have them saying, because there's players who got, like, with all these protocols, I'm not sure if you saw this, Chantelle, but they actually added more protocols like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So in mid-January. So they had rules for him in December, and then they added more rules. And because I think first week of January, so many teams got positive tested players. They're like, okay, what's happening? Why are we getting more COVID testing, positive tests? So like people aren't following the rules. Like, so people clearly are still want to go out, meet with friends, but they're doing it secretly. Right. Remember, I'm staying home, but my friends are coming over. That's the same. That's just as bad as going outside. Yeah. So I think, they added more rules, I think, in January because people are still getting COVID. With all these.
So what you mentioned about new rules is in Miami, the Miami Heat have just introduced, Chantelle, I'm really glad you're here because dogs can now sniff COVID. Elaborate on this.
I'm Chantelle, first of all, this entire idea, is this clinical tested or just people just putting a lot of
just a background for people who haven't heard. Fans who go to the Miami games, they're socially distanced in line, and when they're in line, they have a like an airport dog. Like when you go to the airport and you're sniffing for drugs in your suitcase and your luggage. Well, they're sniffing for COVID. Please elaborate.
So I think that that's a bunch of crock.
Okay.
Because what does a virus smell like? A virus that's in your body, like, is it changing your body chemistry? Like, the only thing that I can even possibly think of is that COVID attacks some part of your system or your organs and causes you to give off some sort of odor. But where's the science behind that?
Right.
Chantelle, listen, we all know there's a lot of fake news happening in America. A lot. Apparently Trump won, right? All that foolishness. So I just think someone created this whole fake idea that a dog can smell a virus. Dogs can't even smell like the flu virus, right? Remember, dogs can smell a lot of things. So my thing is that unless they actually had a journal saying that we tested 100 people, 50 had COVID, 50 didn't have COVID, and this dog smelled the 50 COVID for sure, it's just foolishness. Absolute foolishness.
Show me the peer review research. Like the publication.
One last thing I don't understand about this is, why is this on? I've never heard this. The only time I've heard about this is in Miami for the Heat game.
It's
Nowhere
and that's
else
what I was gonna say.
in the
It's
world seems to
Florida.
be implementing this. So what do they know that the rest of the world doesn't know?
Yo, all I know, the owner probably lost a bet to some guy who owns dogs. You know what? I lost a bet, so we have to implement this. No, real talk. It makes, like, for him, literally, someone sat down and said, "Hey guys, let's spend how much thousands of dollars for the season so we can hire dogs to sniff our fans." That to me is insane. That to me is a poker bet. That's a poker. That I think there's more to this than what we're seeing. That's all I'm gonna say, because
we know that it's not that effective, because obviously, like, we'll know it's not effective if, say, 6 months down the road, no one else is implementing this.
yep.
Like, if this does not catch on, then it was just for show. It's for,
It could be a pilot study that they're doing too, you know.
right.
It could
Fair
be.
enough. Fair enough.
To me,
Fair
it's
enough.
wild.
But
Absolutely wild.
I would really love to know what the science behind that is, because
She says science in like it's
It
hypothetical.
it doesn't make any sense.
All right. Well, so Nelly J, let's go to For the Culture.
For the culture, y'all. So for the culture, we want to just highlight, of course, individuals, anything that we think is for our culture. So I'm sure everyone who's listening or watching knows about something that was created during COVID by Timberland and Swiss Beats, VERZUZ. And so something that's really interesting is that VERZUZ is actually partnered with the Pro Bowl, and they're going to have a VERZUZ real battle with athletes kind of battling their highlights, which I think is really dope. Chantelle, what's your thoughts on this? Like, versus now, first it started off with music, right? And with like musicians and great artists battling their catalog of music, but now it's kind of crossing into the sports world.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love this idea. I think it's so out of the box. Timberland and Swiss. I'm telling you. And you know what I love about it? One, it's a way to give a nod to the greats, the NFL greats, the ones who are doing it, who are building up their stats and, maybe sometimes going a bit unnoticed. And another thing that I find really interesting, and I'm wondering if it's what they were thinking, the Pro Bowl tends to be probably not the most watched
it's not
NFL,
watched at all.
right?
I mean,
I watch it because I love football, period.
Yeah, I mean, like the
Because,
avid fans watch it, but like NBA All-Star, people watch that because of the whole weekend experience. But like,
right.
Pro Bowl isn't celebrated like the NBA All-Star weekend is celebrated.
No, and it's a more relaxed game, right? But this way, they're able to bridge that gap between the young generation, the social media Gen Z group that might not typically watch a Pro Bowl, but oh, VERZUZ is doing something, let me check this out. And it kind of helps to propel that traditional football theme with this new generation that may not have such a huge grasp on the sport. And so I love the idea. I think it's such a good idea for them to do this.
So Chantelle asked, so you watch the Pro Bowl every year?
Yes, pretty much. I haven't missed one in
a long time. Okay, how about you, Nelly J?
So I watch it I'll probably watch like a quarter, but I just find it not as competitive. I think because, remember, it's football. So like, do you want to really tour or get injured for a Pro Bowl game? No.
The reason why I ask is because the Pro Bowl of all professional sports, it's at the bottom. Nobody cares about the Pro Bowl.
He's like nobody, not even your mama cares
about it. Like,
it's true.
And the MLS soccer, of like the top 4, we'll say 5, that would be the lowest, like in regards to MLB, hockey,
NHL,
basketball, everything, right? When I look at MLS, the MLS All-Star game, I think is more exciting than the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl, I think VERZUZ tied in with the Pro Bowl is a perfect marriage, because the Pro Bowl needs something. And I think VERZUZ and what they have in regards to in line with old greats coming in and showcasing, I think it has potential. At least I think they have to get it right this time, though, because I think if you get people's attention this year and it doesn't hit off, you might lose them again. But you could catch a lick also and like really have it hit. And, you know, with Versus, you know, Swiss is behind it, Timbaland's behind it. You have Jay-Z, who is coordinating with the NFL. They could, this could really be, from a marketing standpoint, a really big deal. And so this, I'm hoping that the Pro Bowl, I'm hoping this works for them, because I've watched honestly, last time I watched Pro Bowl was maybe 8 years ago. I didn't watch the whole thing, and I'm open to watching them but one thing that's going to change the game is they don't play at 100%. You know what I'm saying? It might as well be flag football, I'll tell you the truth.
Hey, I was gonna say the same thing, y'all. Make it just flag. No real talk though, or touch football. They might as well do it that way, because literally, like, these guys do not want to get injured. It's Pro Bowl, and you know what? I think players are excited to be selected, but don't really care to play in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's good to have Pro Bowl selected 5 years versus to play in it. You know what I mean? Because think about it, Mahomes will make it every year, but is he playing? No, he plays Super Bowl, right? So I'm not going to Pro Bowl. Like, he wants to win a championship, like Tom Brady. So I just think because football is more contact sport and it's a lot more aggressive, that it is like that. But I will say though, the one versus battle, it already started this week. So today's the 28th. So essentially, they already had the Pro Bowl. So they had AJ Brown versus Justin Jefferson. On the 27th, they had Jamal Adams versus Buda Baker, and Cam Jordan versus Myles Garrett. And then today they're going to have DeAndre Hopkins versus Jalen Ramsey. And the 29th, they're going to have Deshaun Watson versus Michael Vick, which is the one I'm planning on watching, because that will be, I think, the Michael Vick versus Deshaun Watson. Watching their highlights will be really cool in like a versus battle. But yeah, like, I think it's a good look. And I think they have, you're going to love this, Faheem. They're going to have Snoop Dogg as, I think he's like a celebrity, like either a celebrity host of this as well. And we know Snoop Dogg is like amazing. So on Sunday, Snoop Dogg will be one of the virtual celebs battle. So they're going to have Snoop Dogg, Keyshawn Johnson, Deshaun Watson, and Derrick Henry for AFC. And they're against Marshawn Lynch, Bubba Wallace, Kyler Murray, and Jamal Adams. But Snoop Dogg, man, having him a part of this Pro Bowl will be cool too, because, you know, he was amazing for the fight with Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. So, well,
I'll be honest, not looking too good then, because I did not know it started already, tell you the truth. I didn't hear anything about this.
Like, if I know about it already,
No, I'm just saying it. So if you know, like, but mind you, this is I guess the preliminary stages, right? So maybe the closer, and especially I'm hoping during the Super Bowl, they do a lot of advertising for it to build momentum. So let's see how this plays out. But yeah.
Well, I mean, the Pro Bowl is this Sunday. It's before Super Bowl, right? So it is this Sunday. So essentially, it's happening like right now. It's a full week, right? So not Pro Bowl is now a full week. Remember, it's virtual, so they added additional things. So I think, you know, having celebrities added, like Snoop Dogg, who, you know, people love Snoop. So I think stuff like that, they're trying to, you know, as she said, Gen Z, right? Creating people who don't really watch football to want, hey, Snoop Dogg's a part of this. Let's see what he's up to, because, you know, he's gonna be hilarious, right?
So, honest question on the way out of this. So, Chantelle, you have social media somewhere, right? Did you hear anything about this on social media?
No. So, one of my friends is the one who told me that it started already, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "They just came out with this. Like, how did they start?"
Right. How about you, Nelly J? Did you have you honestly?
No, I found out literally today it started. I didn't even know they started. And what's crazy is that the NFL, like, I'm on their Instagram, so they didn't even announce they didn't announce this at all. So
that's what
I'm curious to know now, why is it's like, I feel like the Pro Bowl. So maybe the reason why is because the NFL isn't really behind. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Like, because I know NBA would have had this blasting everywhere. But the NFL, you know, like, their marketing has been suspect from time. Like, they're lucky that they have good, because from time they have suspect marketing. Like, even their Instagram page, I'm like, yo, I can do a better job than that. Like, they're just
when they have a versus, like E40 Too Short, you knew about that when it's coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand why, but it's an opportunity maybe missed. But you know what? Salute to them to actually trying a thing to do
Yep.
something for the Pro
Hey,
Bowl, right? So
try a thing. And, you know, I think, again, Black people and NFL haven't had a good relationship for the last, what, 4 or 5 years since Kaepernick. So
right.
it could be that a lot of the Black influencers were just not even trying to promote them, because typically I hear stuff through like Black,
but they have the
celebrities.
biggest Black influencer in Jay-Z behind this, right?
No, I agree, but Jay-Z's not on Instagram. He's an
No.
influencer, but he's not on social media. He's
No,
not.
he's not.
He's not,
And
right?
we need
So
to bridge that gap, right?
yeah,
That's
exactly.
the-
So hence why I'm saying, like, they need someone, like, trust me, if they even tell, you know what, like, so Snoop Dogg having him on is good, but I was on Snoop Dogg's page a couple days ago because it's Kobe's, you know, 1 year RIP to Kobe, since we lost him, and Snoop didn't even have Pro Bowl anywhere on his Instagram. So like the issue is that I think, you know, Black people are not happy with NFL. So at least having these types of conversations, which are having now more in the NFL, and I think having more Black people in the NFL making decisions, it will increase. But it's like this is for the culture, but the culture don't know about it. That's the problem.
The Weekend, we know the Weekend's doing the halftime show for Super Bowl.
Yo,
Yes.
And you cannot know that because all they do is advertise the heck out of it.
but guys,
So
the
why
Weekend
they-
is probably one of the biggest like celebrities in like the last
No, I
like,
get
5
it.
years. Like he's huge.
And performing at the Super Bowl is huge. I get it. But think about this though. Like if it's a versus and it's the Pro Bowl and we're not hearing anything, like there's a disconnect somewhere. I don't have the answers, but there's a disconnect somewhere.
Agreed. NFL, call us up. Let us know what's happening, okay? No, I'm joking. But guys, so I want you to guess, how much money do you think The Weeknd spent of his own money for his halftime show coming up, Super Bowl?
Of his own money?
Of his own
I'll
money.
say $1 million.
$1 million. What about you, Chantelle?
I was gonna say 1.5 million.
The Weeknd has spent, again, on his own money.
Right,
He's dropping $7 million
Wow.
on his performance for the halftime show. Apparently, it's going to be very cinematic. It's going to be theatrical, and it's going to have all his hits. This man is dropping his own money of $7 million for his halftime show. Like,
Wow.
and the man's from Canada. Big up Toronto,
Scarborough.
GTA. Yeah,
And he hooked
Scarborough
us
man.
up. He hooked us up at the
Scarborough man
hospital.
dropping $7 million, right? No, we'll talk. So again, having a Scarborough man, first of all, is it for Scarborough man performing? I think it is. Having
Yes.
a Scarborough man from our hometowns
Mhm.
performing Super Bowl and dropping his own $7 million for a virtual halftime show.
Right.
Guys, big up. Listen, everyone listening right now, y'all better watch the halftime. If you don't watch the game, fine, but at least watch the halftime. Support our Toronto man, like real talk, because that's to me is huge.
Honestly, I'm not a huge halftime person. Like for me, halftime is just kind of when I go take a break, refill my drink, that type of thing.
Get some
But
food, yeah.
knowing that The Weeknd was doing it and repping for Canada, repping for Scarborough, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention this year. I'm gonna pay attention. I gotta support.
We gotta support. And 7 million. Like, are you shocked for you about that? 7 million? Are you?
Yes, that's a big number. I start with 1, just a nice round number, but 7 is.
Now I'm real curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what? So folks, watch the halftime show, but Super Bowl is coming up. It's going to be on Sunday, and I'm curious to know what your predictions are, Faheem and Chantelle, on who do you think. And first of all, it's historic. Tom Brady's 10th appearance. Man already has 6. Okay, going for number 7. Do you understand? 7. Which I think would make him, I think, as one of the greatest athletes to ever walk this earth. But what's your thoughts on this, guys? Like, he's playing up-and-comer Mahomes, who is going to have, if he wins, will have ring number 2 on his, 3rd, 4th year for him? Like, this is crazy. So what's your thoughts on old school meeting new school in the Super Bowl, and who do you think is going to win? So Chantelle, you go first, girl.
So this is a tough one for me. I am split. Like, right in the middle, because like when I look at the pros and the cons of each team, like you have Mahomes, who is, that dude is crazy under pressure. He's got a great defensive line. Like it's hard, but then you have Tom Brady, who just who he'll get sacked 5 million times and still find a way to win. Like how? It's
resilient. They're both very resilient
yes,
quarterbacks.
and they're both very similar in a way. I mean, Tom Brady does have, you know, the experience on his side and everything, but they both have this drive when they are playing that I can't even explain it, but they just find a way. Last week when Mahomes, he threw, I think he was throwing to Hill, and he was literally about to get sacked. And
yes, I remember that. Yep, he was falling and still threw the ball.
Bro, as he's falling, I was like, how? Like it. So it's hard for me. I would love to see Mahomes get a second win, but I don't know. I feel like Brady could take this and then retire and chill, you know, retire on a high. I don't know. It's a tough one for me.
How about you, Faheem?
I think
can you pick one or no? Like, are you like you can't pick one, or are you like no?
I definitely could. No, I got one.
Okay.
I'm going with Brady in the Bucks.
Ooh, I think it's old school.
Yeah,
old school.
Yeah, I think that it was kind of written from that game once the Rodgers Brady matchup happened and Brady came out. I was thinking Brady and Allen for Super Bowl didn't seem. I was like, you know what? I really think that like you mentioned, you have old and new. You know, the goat and the baby goat.
Billy goat.
And also think about like this. I'm going to go on a limb and say that this Super Bowl is probably going to be the most watched Super Bowl in history.
Agreed.
Of the NFL.
Absolutely.
Certain things. One, it's COVID. People are going to be at home. Two, the matchup of these two. Because I think if you had Josh Allen and Brady, I mean, people tune in. Don't get me wrong. It's not that same kind of flair that this one does. So, and also like on both sides of the ball, they seem to match up. So I like
very well.
I totally. Mahomes always comes too late, but this is Brady, and I think that. So it's funny with LeBron, right? A lot of people didn't like LeBron's come up, especially after the Miami. You know, I'm taking my talent to South Beach, right? Mm-hmm. But here we are, LeBron. He's brushed that off. He's continuing off this career, and now it's like, regardless of how you feel about LeBron, you stop to respect his greatness that he has right now, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
And it almost doesn't make sense to hate on LeBron now because you're living in this moment, right? Mm-hmm. The same thing with Brady. I just can't. I've never before rooted for Tom Brady to win any Super Bowl ever. I've always been anti-Brady because my GOAT has always been Joe Montana. So
I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's true. That's true because the last time he won the Super Bowl, you didn't pick him. You picked the other team. I remember that.
Yeah. Yes. I'm always anti-Brady, right? But you know, going in, you have to recognize like we're living in a time right now that 5, 6 in the future when we look back at it. We're witnessing greatness, you know what I'm saying? So why hate on it? And also, Brady has a Super Bowl loss, right? Mahomes, he doesn't, right?
He has 4 losses. He has 4 losses and has 6 and won 6.
No, but Super Bowl losses for Mahomes.
Yeah, no, he's no losses.
Right?
Yeah.
So
remember, he's kind of new.
Like I'm saying, he's going to get one eventually.
if you're like an old man,
if Mahomes is going to get a loss, why not get that loss to Tom Brady? You know what I'm saying? Have that one loss if you're going to have one. So I say, let's show some love for Brady, man. That's just my opinion.
So I'll give out my prediction, and I'm just going based off what I've seen throughout the playoffs. I just think that like the Bucks. Listen, Tom Brady's great. If he wins or loses, the fact that he made it to the Super Bowl to me is still something that we'll never see again. I don't think we're going to see any quarterback like Tom Brady that will make it there 10 times like that again, especially remember in the new age of football, right? Back in the day, it happened a lot because some teams have more money, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays with regulations, stuff like that, to see this happening, Tom Brady is right in his class on his own. So him having to win. Yes, he should win because like, you know, he wants to win and Tom Brady is very competitive, but win or lose, he will still be great regardless. Right. I just think that, I'm saying again, I just really think that KC are a different playing field. Like, I just don't think the team itself, the Bucks are a great team, but they're not on the same level as the Chiefs. The Chiefs are so cohesive. The top 5 receivers in the NFL, 2 or 3 are on the Chiefs. Do you understand? And even if you double, let's say you double Track Kelce, there's still 2 people that will score and drive. The issue to me this will be an offensive game. However, I just think the Chiefs, even against the Bills, they had like interceptions. Like, they're annoying defensively, annoying. So my thing, the Chiefs to me has less vulnerabilities than the Bucks. When it comes to who's better, Tom Brady, Mahomes, Tom Brady's better. Like, I'm sorry, he's the best quarterback in this game. I'm not denying that. But this is a team game, and I have to go with the Chiefs. Their team is just better. And listen, Tom Brady could be up by 20 points in the third quarter, and Mahomes scores like this, underpasses. Like, he scores too fast for you to beat him. So unless Tom Brady is up by 30 points in the fourth quarter and by 4 minutes left, he's not going to win this game. I'm sorry.
I totally understand everything you're saying, but there's one thing I want to ask you. So
yeah,
right now, are you telling me that you think that Brady's better than Mahomes right now? Because I don't know if
I'm saying so to me, I think Brady's better in this stage. Like, in terms of his experience, he has proven to me that he's a better quarterback in terms of experience and being in this game. However, I just think that Mahomes, to me, Mahomes' energy is very goatish. Like, he's going to be a goat. The way he acts and remember, like, I don't know if you saw this, but they said how when the Patriots beat KC in the playoffs, I think the first time they made the playoffs, Tom Brady went to Mahomes' locker room and spoke to him one-on-one after the loss. Yeah. So I'm not sure what Tom Brady told Mahomes, but that has helped him become a champion. And the fact that Tom Brady and Mahomes have that good rapport already, I just think that, like, Tom Brady is looking in the mirror of himself, a younger self of him, because Mahomes had the same drive. So again, to me, the quarterback battle will be interesting, but I think in terms of the team, I think KC's defense is going to be better than Bucks defense, and that's why I think
because I do think right now of the two, I think Mahomes is the better quarterback right now.
Oh, like right now, yeah.
Right now, I think he's better. You know,
like in skill sets or like in overall.
But like you mentioned, though, in regards to the stage, you know, experience might weigh out. So.
That's what it is, experience. But I would love, first of all, normally every Super Bowl, like I want one team to win. This is the first time I'm just like, I don't really care who wins. Like,
that's right.
I'm going to enjoy the game. I don't really care who wins. If you're betting out there, of course you're going to care, but I'm not betting. I'm just watching for fun. So for me, I can enjoy the game and not really care, because if Tom Brady wins, good for him. If Mahomes wins, good for him. I'm actually not invested to the point where I'm like, no. Normally each year I'm like, no, this team has to lose. But this year I'm like, yo, like, I think I'm picking the Chiefs, but if they don't win, I'm not going to be upset, because I love both teams. They're both deserve to be there. And the Bucks, Faheem, remember back in September, we said the Bucks is building a team to win a ring. And I will give kudos to the coach, to the staff, because they said, Tom, come to our city and we'll give the team. Whoever you want, we're going to hire. And they did that. They hired whoever he wanted. Unlike Harden, who did that, but you know what happened to Harden. But Tom Brady actually did it. I'm saying, though, Tom Brady did it, and look where he is now. So big up to Tom Brady for that too, like in the Bucks.
So one last thing on the way out for this, Chantelle, I'm going to ask. So I'm safe to assume that everyone be on the same page. It's probably going to be a close game, not going to be a blowout.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if it comes down to, it's probably say the fourth quarter. If it does come to the fourth quarter, final drive, who do you trust on that final drive more, Brady or Mahomes?
That's insane. What a question for you. What's wrong with you?
Just real quick.
So I trust Mahomes.
Okay.
Simply because, one, his receivers are, they're insane.
Right.
Okay. And then because that final drive, you know that they're going to be beefing up defense, all of that, but he's going to find a pocket. This man just has a way
or run and he's fast.
Or he runs. Yes, exactly. So I have to say he'll make it work.
Okay. What about you, Nelly J, real quick?
The final drive, first of all, both of these quarterbacks are both clutch quarterbacks. Like, we've seen them down by points and they come back. In a final drive, I'm gonna pick Tom Brady. I'm sorry, like, historically, he's just, again, Mahomes to me can do it. I'm not saying he can't, but all I'm saying is that I've seen Tom Brady do it so many times. Like, listen, how can we forget when they were down by 26 against the Atlanta Falcons?
Yes.
And everyone, literally, I won't lie, the TV was turned off. I'm like, "Bun, this game is boring. It's dry up." And I call back on the fourth quarter. I'm like, "Hold up, how are they back?" Like, it's insane. So to me, again, both of them can score on the fourth drive, but I'm just going based on just seniority. That's all it is. Like, Tom Brady has proven more than Mahomes has. That's all it is.
So I'm not backing up what I said, but I would actually, I think I might go with Mahomes just to the fact that I've seen Brady at, what's he, 43, 40?
Yeah, 43.
Forget what down it was. A young
so wicked.
A young Tom Brady wouldn't have done that. I'm just
Oh, come
saying.
on, man. Listen, he has 2 weeks off for him. He will be more like alert. You're so cold-blooded. You guys like, yo, he forgot a down, Janelle. I don't trust that.
All right, Nelly J, let's go to That's Absurd.
That's absurd. Faheem, bro. Absurdity this week. Who was it?
Absurd.
What was it? And why?
Oh my goodness, this is a good one. So, Draymond Green was playing this week, and he was yelling at his teammate about doing that, saying that we could do better. And running down the court, the ref mistook the fact that thought that he was making complaint about the ref and gave him a tech and kicked him out the game while yelling at his own teammate. And that was the second technical of the game, so he got ejected for that. Absurd.
Why does it feel like somebody's watching me? Like, ref, this song ain't about you, bro. It's not. Like, you know that song? This song ain't about you. Like, that's what the ref is just paranoid. And guess what happened, right? I can see why the refs messed up, because Draymond's been chatty, right? He always chats it up the things all the time. So we don't know if the ref heard him talk about him earlier and then he just got fed up. Like, again, I think the ref should have probably been more like interesting. But again, like, Draymond, like, why are you yelling at your teammate? Like, talk to him and whisper in his ear, bro. Like, he's so dramatic sometimes. I'm sorry.
It really is though. But you know what? When I read the article, I was like, man, the boy that cried wolf, because that's what it reminded me of. Draymond has again and again and again proven that he just cannot control himself. Yeah, there's always a story about him. Every couple of weeks, there's a story about him. So I feel like there is a lot of bias with the refs as far as he's concerned. And even if Draymond's looking in their direction but off to the side, they're gonna think it's him, right?
I agree.
So
I agree it's bias.
The refs did, so the NBA looked into it obviously the next day and they did rescind it. So you got it back, right?
Okay, good.
But my thing real quick is I don't understand how there's some things that with these rules you can review. Apparently, a second technical is not something that you can review.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, there's, so, there's a lot of things that happen where, especially the last 2 minutes of the game, you can go to the monitor and check things out, right? My thing is they got to change this. Like, there's a lot of things where I see that they happen, and I'm saying, like, from my eye, I could see, that's not right. So it shouldn't take 20 minutes to figure out, whose ball it is, or if he's on the 3-point line, or if he's out of bounds, and these simple calls, right? So my thing is, if they're going to spend all this time with these frivolous stuff, just the fact that you're not going to double check, even look back into something where it just takes a simple explanation. Say, hey, I wasn't talking to you, look into it, boom, boom, boom. So I just think completely absurd.
Yeah, and to kind of piggy off what you said, Faheem, I think, like in the NFL, right? Like, whenever there's a big call, like a big flag, like they throw a flag and the NFL's, like, they all come and they talk about the flag and kind of discuss it, and then they put the penalty out. So I think the NBA should have that penalty. If I want to eject a player, either do a flag or do a symbol saying ejection, and then they should talk and say, hey, here's why here's why, and discuss it to give the team time to say, hey, it wasn't you, it was Wiseman. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think maybe they should add some kind of element where the refs can discuss things. And because remember, ejection is a big call. Like in a fourth quarter, if we're especially in a playoff game, that can ruin an entire team's chance to win, right? So I think ejection should be reviewed before you eject someone off, for sure. Like, I don't think ejection right away. I don't think that should be one ref's call. It should be agreed upon by all the refs before you could have a player ejected off a game. So that's my opinion on it.
I agree. I mean, it's too big of a call to just, have this type of stipulation. You would think that if you're going to eject a player, that you're going to make sure that you're certain of what you're doing.
Right.
So I feel like this example is probably going to bring about some change, we hope.
Very good point. Very good point. And sometimes you need to make, because remember this, the reviews, it's just still in the early stages, right? So just the fact that this has happened, you're right. They're going to use this, especially on the off season, to make changes. So it is absurd, but it's something that they can grow on. So that's fine.
Absolutely.
So let's put this episode in the books.
Boom, 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 y'all. So Chantelle, thank you, girl, for coming on the podcast. Sharing your expertise on health and safety and ethics, because I think a lot of times as fans, we kind of ignorant. We're kind of like, yo, why aren't you playing some of my fantasy team on betting? But it's like, yo, bro, health is important, right? So Chantelle, we give our guests a chance to do a shout out. So the floor is yours.
I just want to shout you guys out for having me on the show. I love your show, and I'll continue to listen to it and to get my friends and other family members to listen to it too. But I just want to big up my family, the Morris Douglas clan, my sister who I live with, and my best friend Shauna. Obviously.
Shauna.
And, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me on the show.
Not a problem.
I'll do mine next. I want to shout out Chantelle for coming on. I have very few friends that I can talk like sports with that are women. Crystal is one, which we saw earlier episode with our boy Prem, and now we have Chantelle, who's someone I talk about a lot of sports with. We talk probably daily about everything. So thank you for coming on and blessing us with your presence. I also want to shout out Amanda Gorman. For those who don't know, Amanda Gorman is a poet. She performed at the inauguration, and she kind of literally added 2 million followers in a day because she was that amazing. And during the NFL Super Bowl, they're actually going to have a segment where they're going to be honoring first-line health workers for COVID. And Amanda's actually going to be reciting an original poem honoring those 3 people that they're going to be honoring. So imagine having a Black poet that's going to be honoring these heroes of COVID, helping us fight this virus, this pandemic. So I want to shout her out. She's putting poetry on a different playing field, and she's a black girl magic. So definitely give her a shout out as well.
Nice. My shout out, I want to shout out Chantelle also. Nelly J said she had a friend coming on. I'm like, okay, it's cool. And honestly, you're a great spirit. So honestly, and I mean that. It's great, really nice speaking with you. Also, thank you just for kind of elaborating on some of the questions I had, especially in being in the field. So I do appreciate that. And yeah, you're a friend of the podcast. So, we'll have to at another time have you come on again because it was really nice.
Oh, absolutely. This is fun.
Nice. All right. So this episode in the books, episode 24?
24.
Right,
So as you guys know, y'all, we love our listeners, our viewers. So we ask is that you comment, share with a friend, and stay tuned. We love all your feedback. So of course, guys, let us know what your thoughts, anything you want to talk about, any topics that you want us to kind of discuss and elaborate on, let us know. You have Faheem, you have at Nellylicious, you got Chantelle, we're all here. So let us know how y'all feel. Faheem.
That's right. Check us out on all podcast platforms that are there for you. Definitely appreciate the time you've taken. You could have been anywhere and you're here with us. So we really do appreciate that. And that's episode 24. That's Good Rookies Podcast. And we out. Peace.